Hi guys, on that video I would explain an issue that I had recently, and it was quite a lot of struggle. The video itself is a time-lapse of changing an exhaust manifold gasket. So the video and the problem that I'm going to talk about are on the same topic. They are connected. It's not the same vehicle. That here was just having some exhaust gases blowing out, and it was smelling inside the cabin, so that's the reason that we've changed that gasket on that particular vehicle. So the issue that I had with the other vehicle was loss of power without having any fault codes. The loss of power was quite significant. When you go over a hill, the van will drop down, like you need to drop it in second gear and drive it with about 20-30 miles per hour if the hill is quite steep. When it was on a flat, like a motorway or something, it was struggling to keep approximately 70 miles per hour. 70 miles per hour is about 130 kilometers per hour. I'm not sure, but you can check that. The other thing that it made is when you put a cruise control, it will, over a period of, let's say, between 5 and 10 minutes, drop down in speed significantly, so it will go out of cruise control. That was what was the issues with the van. The only symptom that I had was a whistling noise, like a boost leak. And what I did was, initially I checked all the boost piping, boost hoses, intercooler, intake manifold, basically every part of the fan that has boost pressure going through it. After that, I've changed the turbo on that van. On the live data, all the boost pressures were fine. So the problem with the van was indeed the exhaust manifold gasket. Usually, when you go from the front of the engine to the back end of the engine, the very last 8mm bolt over time will stretch and will allow the exhaust gases to escape. And with some soapy water sprayed over the last bolt, you can clearly see you have exhaust gases leaking from there. Usually, that is a pretty noticeable high-pitch squealing around 2000 RPM, 2500 RPM, while the van itself has like pretty high boost. The issue here with that was that exhaust leak was from the second last bolt, so it was underneath. The sound of the exhaust was, as I mentioned, like boost leak, or I can also say like an exhaust leak when you have a flexi pipe broken. So the lesson learned here is that in order to fix an issue with a van, first you have to make sure that you don't have any fault codes that are with the engine. You can have fault codes with the SAM module, for example, but you want the engine fault codes to be all cleared. And the other thing that you want is when you take off the cabin filter box, you want, when you drive that van, to not hear any squealing noises or boost leak type noises. So as soon as I've changed the exhaust manifold with the gasket, that noise, which was, it had a bit of squealing to it, but it definitely wasn't the usual noise that comes from that gasket being bad or that last bolt being bad. So that noise was missing, and the van just was running perfect after that. And it took me quite a lot of time. Until I figured that out. So those vans are usually during the week at the place that I repair them, and Saturday, Sundays they're also jobs, and so it took me about 2 months dealing with and trying all sorts of stuff until I found out, and it was just by pure luck. By pure luck, I managed to find and sort that issue. Basically, the temperature sensor on the exhaust manifold was the thread was bad, and I wasn't able to change that exhaust temperature sensor, so I just got a used exhaust manifold and just changed the whole exhaust manifold with a new gasket, because the gasket is about 20 pounds and it doesn't make sense to not change the gasket itself. The change of the exhaust manifold, it's pretty self-explanatory. You have just a bunch of bolts that you need to take off and on. If you have some struggle, you can just watch through the whole video, and I think everything is clearly visible what you need as tools, and what's the whole procedure of changing that. So just make sure you don't have any awkward noises and you don't have any fault codes. That's the lesson learned here, and that's my advice. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. It's a bit lengthy, but even on time lapse, it's a process that repair just takes about an hour and a half. So see ya.